right? So we're going to end our show on a happy note because it's Flag Day. And many of you probably don't know the story of the flag. And I could tell you the story, but I'm going to let you hear it here because it's cooler.
Are there a lot of words?
What?
You should read them for those that listen to our show if there's...
There was a lawyer once. His name was Francis Scott Key. He penned a song that I'm sure you're aware of. You've seen it. It's in most hymnals throughout our churches. It's called the national anthem. It is our song as an American. We go, however, to a ball game. We stand in our church services and we sing the words of that song, and they float over our minds and our lips, and we don't even realize what we're singing. Most of us have memorized it as a child, but we've never really thought about what it means. Let me tell you a story. Francis Scott Key was a lawyer in Baltimore. The colonies were engaged in vicious conflict with the mother country, Britain. Because of this conflict and the protractedness of it, they had accumulated prisoners on both sides. The American colonies had prisoners and the British had prisoners. And the American government initiated a move. They went to the British and they said, let us negotiate for the release of these prisoners. They said, we want to send a man out to discuss this with you. They were holding the American prisoners in boats about 1,000 yards offshore. And they said, we want to send a man by the name of Francis Scott Key. He will come out and negotiate to see if we can make a mutual exchange. On the appointed day, in a rowboat, he went out to this boat and he negotiated with the British officials. And they reached a conclusion that men could be exchanged on a one-for-one basis. Francis Scott Key, jubilant with the fact that he'd been successful, went down below in the boats, and what he found was a cargo hold full of humanity, men. And he said, men, I've got news for you tonight. You're free. He said, tonight I have negotiated successfully your return to the colonies. He said, you'll be taken out of this boat, out of this filth, out of your chains. As he went back up on board to arrange for their passage to the shore, the admiral came and he said, we have a slight problem. He said, we will still honor our commitment to release these men, but it'll be merely academic after tonight. It won't matter. And Francis Scott Key said, what do you mean? He said, well, Mr. Key, he said, tonight we have laid an ultimatum upon the colonies. Your people will either capitulate and lay down the colors of that flag that you think so much of, or you see that fort right over there, Fort Henry? He said, we're going to remove it from the face of the earth. He said, how are you going to do that? He said, if you will, scan the horizon of the sea. And as he looked, he could see hundreds of little dots. And he said, that's the entire British war fleet. He said, all of the gunpowder, all of the armament is being called upon to demolish that fort. It will be here within striking distance in a matter of about 2.5 hours. He said, the war is over. These men would be free anyway. He said, you can't shell that fort. He said, that's a large fort. He said, it's full of women and children. He says, it's predominantly not a military fort.
Looks like the Pentagon.
They said, don't worry about it. They said, we've left them a way out. And he said, what's that? He said, do you see that flag way up on the rampart? He said, we have told them that if they will lower that flag, the shelling will stop immediately. And we'll know that they've surrendered, and you'll now be under British rule. Francis Scott Key went down below and told the men what was about to happen. And they said, how many ships? He said, hundreds. The ships got closer. Francis Scott Key went back up on top and he said, men, I'll shout down to you what's going on as we watch. As twilight began to fall, and as the haze hung over the ocean as it does at sunset, suddenly the British war fleet unleashed. He says the sound was deafening. There were so many guns that there were no reliefs. He said it was absolutely impossible to talk or hear. He said suddenly the sky, although dark, was suddenly lit. And he says from down below, all he could hear the men, the prisoners, saying was, tell us where the flag is.
I have goosebumps.
What have they done with the flag? Is the flag still flying over the rampart? Tell us. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours into the shelling, every time the bomb would explode and it would be close to the flag, they could see the flag in the illuminated red glare of that bomb, and Francis Scott Key would report down to the men below, it's still up. It's not down. The admiral came and he said, your people are insane. He said, what's the matter with them? He said, don't they understand this is an impossible situation? Francis Scott Key said he remembered what George Washington had said. He said the thing that sets the American Christian apart from all other people in the world is he will die on his feet before he'll live on his knees. The admiral said, we have now instructed all of the guns to focus on the rampart to take that flag down. He said, we don't understand something. Our reconnaissance tells us that that flag has been hit directly again and again and again, and yet it's still flying. We don't understand that. But he said, now we're about to bring every gun for the next 3 hours to bear on that point. Francis Scott Key said the barrage was unmerciful. All that he could hear was the men down below praying. The prayer, God, keep that flag flying where we last saw it. Sunrise came. He said there was a heavy mist hanging over the land, but the rampart was tall enough. There stood the flag, completely nondescript, in shreds. The flagpole itself was at a crazy angle, but the flag was still at the top. Francis Scott Key went aboard and immediately went into Fort Henry to see what had happened. And what he found had happened was that that flagpole and that flag had suffered repetitious direct hits. And when hit had fallen, but men, fathers, who knew what it meant for that flag to be on the ground, although knowing that all of the British guns were trained on it, walked over and held it up humanly until they died. Their bodies were removed and others took their place. Francis Scott Key said what held that flagpole in place at that unusual angle were patriots' bodies. He penned the song, "Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming? Or the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that the flag was still there."
All right. So
They want to know what the name of the video is so they can go watch it.
Star Spangled Banner, as you've never heard it, it's had close to 10 million views.
I mean, so as I was listening to that, because I haven't had a chance to watch it, Leah told me she was going to play this. I'm really disappointed that that story is not taught in our public school system. I should know that story. I don't know that story. I've never heard that story in my entire life. I should have assumed that there was a story that went with, I'm embarrassed and I'm ashamed actually that I don't know the story behind the Star Spangled Banner. And it is absolutely, you know, when we talk about censorship and we talk about any issue on our show here as Americans, and people wonder, why are we so proud to be American? God founded this country and God protects this country, and He is the reason why the patriotism that we have hits us so hard. And this guy was obviously preaching at a church because there were a lot of amens, right? And it just, I don't know. I think that every country has their defining moment, right? In our history, you know, Poland has, you know, a more recent kind of defining moment, and the UK has more recent defining moments and historical defining moments that you can really, really hold on to. This is America's defining moment, even more than the Civil War. I think just the creation of our country, and it's a moving thing for me because it's tied to God founding this country. So Patriot Gallery, our mama, had asked Leah to sing the Star Spangled Banner on her show the other day, and I think that you have brought up the lyrics to do so.
And then I'm going to just sing the first stanza. Nobody ever sings the other stanza. Nobody knows how they would even go. But you can read them.
Okay.
Okay? So, I'm going to sing the Star Spangled Banner for you people. I love this song, by the way.
You might have to turn your volume down because when she sings it in the car.
I love that it says by Whitney Houston.
Well, she's the most famous person who sang it, like, and did it well.
Oh my gosh. All right. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Woo! I think that's the best you've ever sung that, like, ever. Oh my gosh. And so it's very difficult to read the words after that. I think you could sing them.
No, you can't sing them. Nobody knows how they go.
All right. Well, all right.
No one would know how to sing it.
On the shore, dimly seen through the mists of the deep, where the foe's haughty host in dread silent reposes, what is that which the breeze or the towering steep, as it fitfully blows, half conceals, half discloses? Now it catches the gleam of the morning's first beam, in full glory reflected, now shines in the stream. 'Tis the star-spangled banner, oh, long may it wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. And where is that band who so vauntingly swore that the havoc of war and the battle's confusion, a home and a country, should leave us no more? Their blood has washed out their foul footsteps' pollution. No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. And the star-spangled banner in triumph doth wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Oh, thus be it ever, when freemen shall stand between their loved home and the war's desolation. Blessed with victory and peace, may the heavens rescued land praise the power that hath made and preserved us a nation. Then conquer we must, when our cause it is just, and this be our motto: in God is our trust. And the star-spangled banner in triumph shall wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Yay.
So now we know why he was so anointed to write that song. It's not just some guy that just wrote some song. He was there. He was the liaison. He was the negotiator. He was listening to the rocket's red glare and the bombs bursting in air.
Thank
That was excellent. Happy Flag Day. Happy birthday to our president, Donald J. Trump. May he long live the president.
You really can.
And it's thanks to you guys for being here and supporting us.
Yeah, oh, and as far as positivity, I want you to stay on the positive note, because that's why I did all that whole show and it ended with the flag, because you saw the Patriots and they were in the prisons, in the ships, and all this craziness was happening. And with holding up that flag, I really feel like that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay? So they've taken down Tommy, or they take off Alex Jones, and
That's
then another
really good
person
point.
picks up the flag, and another person picks up the
Excellent
flag,
point, Leah.
and another person picks up the flag. But the good news is these are digital deaths that can be brought back to life.
Yeah.
Okay? So as long as we don't, and that's why I read the article on Breitbart.
Sure.
As long as we don't let the flag drop, they can't kill us all. They can't take us all down. They can't take us all off of Facebook. They can't take us off of Twitter. We are going to win, and they have put all the guns on us.
Yeah.
They have brought the entire big tech fleet to fight us, and all they're saying is take down the flag.
Yeah.
Just give up. Just
really
walk
good
away
point.
like good little conservatives or good
Yeah.
little Christians. Just walk away. Don't fight. The Bible says not to fight. The Bible says we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but rulers and principalities. The Bible says to fight. And the Bible says to fight you kind of people, you big tech people. Those are the kind of fights that the Bible actually tells us to fight. And to fight
Right.
hard and long until the day is done, and fight it again the next day. And,
Right.
you know, that's the fight. Because it's a demonic power trying to take over our country, to try to take the ground. See, here's the thing. When you come in with light into a corner that's filled with bugs and rats and snakes, they go scurrying. And when 2016 happened, all these the light came in and all these dark corners, and it was just, they all scurried, and then they all got together and they started, well, we're going to fight you because we want our dark corners back. We like doing things in secret.
Yeah.
We like doing things without you knowing it. And we're like, but hey, wait a minute. When people know what's going on, most people don't support abortion. When people know what's going on, most people don't support illegal immigration. When people know what's going on, most people don't. Nobody believes that you can change your gender.
Right.
When people know what's going on, when people know the truth, conservatism, libertarianism, they win on the argument all day, every day.
Yeah.
And if you don't let the flag down, then you're going to win. And that's why this is so important. Flag Day, President Trump's birthday, with the tech censorship, all we have to make sure we do is we don't let the flag go down.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to be there. We're going to keep, Michelle and I will be people who hold that flag up, because we know that God is on our side.
Yeah.
And we know that if we lay down our life, our digital lives for this, holding up the flag, God will come through for us. Okay? Because and that's what the difference was with the Patriots. They knew that they had God on their side. Mm-hmm. They knew that they weren't laying down their lives for nothing. They knew that God would see their sacrifices and would bring the country around.
And this country's already been ordained. It's already been founded. They did it all. So what we're doing is just
honoring their
that.
sacrifice.
Exactly. And so
if
it's
they're
not
willing
as
to
difficult
die
as you think.
If they're willing to die real deaths, how much more should we be willing to die the digital death?
Exactly.
Okay, because we're not going to die real deaths, guys. This is a
Right.
digital battle. It is in the boxes, in the computers that we're fighting this. And how blessed you are to be able to fight like that.
Yeah.
Okay, you're fighting by your keyboard. You don't have to put your life on the line, but and some people are putting their livelihoods on the line. Okay, that kind of stuff, but not like you're being and fighting.
And we thank you for at least being here with us. All right, we love you guys. God bless.
I was cold.